It's good to realise at this stage that when you point your skis down the hill at the start of your turn, you're going to pick up speed. That's always going to happen. You can't change that. What you can change is the fact that you're turning gradually, nice and smooth, up the hill before you start. So you're going to feel happy with your speed, then you can start the next one. A lot of people do a bad turn. I think that was a rubbish turn, but in fact it was a turn before, didn't control their speed enough. So make sure you get that break, then you can start your next one.
Down here, I want to make sure that I've finished off the turn before I start the next one. That way, I'll start the next turn confident and in control. The turns will have a nice rounded shape with no sudden movements.
Okay, so you should be starting to feel a really nice smooth blend between the turns. Nothing's forced, nothing's rushed, just linking them together as smooth as you can. Perfect, let's keep going.
Stand on the top ski whilst rolling the edge over and let the skis come round naturally. Use a round S-shaped turn to control your speed and keep practicing on runs you feel comfortable on.
I hope you found that useful. Now you should be feeling the skis staying parallel right the way from the beginning of the turn all the way through to the end. Remember, if something's not working, go back a step and look at the basics. Next time we're going to be using some edging to feel some control and the shape of the ski to help you turn. We're going to find some more challenging terrain and then finally looking at the line choice. See you next time. The first thing we're going to look at is the shape of your turns. Very simply, if you look back at the tracks that you've left, you want to be seeing a smooth S shape and not this Z shape. The chances are, if you're feeling it hard to control your speed, you're chucking the skis around the corner and then running off in a straight line towards the next one and then doing that same movement. We want to replace that with a nice, smooth, gradual S.
If you watch here, the turn is rushed. I'm doing the whole turn in one very fast, erratic movement, then I pick up speed between my turns. What we want to achieve is a round, link turn which keeps my speed constant and in control.
You're always going to speed up when you start the turn and point the skis down the hill. You can't change that. But what you can change is how fast you're going before you do that and feel that you're going to push a nice gradual break and then start that next turn, feeling a lot calmer, less stress and happier about life. So I'm going to start to slide, but from here I'm gradually turning up the hill. Now I feel control, I can start my next turn and start turning up that hill in the next way. Let's try it the other way. I'm sliding in nice and smooth and then turning uphill nice and gently. Now I feel control, I can go into that next turn and start turning uphill and feeling the brake coming on smooth.
Make sure you're happy with your speed before you start your turn. That way you'll be less likely to slam on the brake to slow down. Remember, the control comes at the end of the turn, not the beginning.
You would have noticed there my upper body's nice and calm, and if you've got any of these rotation issues and trying to force it, that's often a symptom of going too fast into your turn. Remember, you're always going to speed up when you start the turn, but if you control it beforehand, the chances are you'll be much smoother.
Watch my upper body here. There's no unnecessary movements. I'm not throwing my shoulders round. Instead, I'm controlling my speed at the end of the turn and preparing for the next. Because I'm in control, I don't need to rush the turn to slow down. I can just keep a smooth, round turn shape.
We're going to break the turn down into two. Firstly, point them down the hill, let them come round, and then we're going to start to turn gradually uphill. Make it a smooth break, not a sharp one. Have a watch.
Part 1, I point the skis downhill. Part 2, I turn the skis uphill. Prepare for the turn, control your speed. Prepare for the turn, control your speed. Separating the turn into two will help you avoid turning the skis too quickly at the start.
We're going to take a look at line choice, massively important. We're going to take an average slope like a blue run down here with a few obstacles on it and try and look at a few ways to make it as easy for you as we can. Looking ahead is key and exactly the same as driving. The faster you're skiing, the further you're looking down the hill. ski it as a slope, not just thinking about one turn and then the next. Give you much more time to react to obstacles, trees, people, anything. Let's have a go. So there's my first turn. I'm already aware of the trees on my left and a slightly steeper pitch on the right. I'm looking down the hill and I'm thinking where I'm going to be in the next few seconds. Where you're looking is extremely important. Stop this focus on just looking for the next turn. Turn the eyes, look down the slope. You're going to have much more time to avoid obstacles and you're going to start to ski it as a slope. If you see it getting flatter, carry the speed onto it. The flip side of that, if you see it getting steeper, control your speed before you're on it and you'll have a lot more chance of skiing it in control. My first turn's here. I'm looking a couple of meters in front of my skis. Haven't got a lot of idea what's coming up at me. Now I'm going to start to keep my eyes much more down the slope. Because I'm looking where I'm going, I can anticipate the flat and start to let it run. I hope you found that useful. Remember, if you're having problems, go back a step, try and link those turns together and make everything nice and smooth. Rolling those edges on will help with the control, and then trying to look further down the slope. Remember, don't get obsessed with the individual turns, ski it as a run. Next time, we're going to be looking at engaging those edges a little bit earlier in the turn, skiing some steeper terrain and exploring the mountain a bit more. Snow's great, I'm going to go for a ski.
In short turns, it's important to keep the upper body calm and facing down the hill. Watch how my feet are turning, but my body remains calm. The arms are in front and I'm looking down the hill.
A great exercise to help you achieve that is to take your hands out of your straps, hold your poles about halfway down and put the handles together, making a nice arrow. Now put some smooth turns in, keeping that arrow facing directly down the hill. Start on a nice easy slope, but it's going to be a really good guide for you to keep those arms in front and keep that chest facing down the hill.
This might feel strange to start with, but give it time and it will become easier. It's a really good way to train the upper body to remain calm. I now have the poles back, but the same rules apply. The body is calm, my skis are turning beneath me with a good, constant rhythm.
Now that the turn's feeling a lot more dynamic, that nice smooth edge through the end and that good confident start, letting your body fall down the slope, you're going to find that the speeds will start increasing. And think of it exactly the same as a bike. The faster that bike's going to be going around the corner, the more lean and angle they're going to have going around the corner. 20 miles an hour, same bike at 5, it's going to be more upright. And you'll start to feel that with the legs. But don't let the shoulders fall onto the inside, keep that slightly more upright.
You can see here that I'm not going particularly fast, but my legs are leaning over more than my upper body. As I increase the speed, the legs lean over further, but the upper body remains more upright. If you compare the two, you can clearly see the difference. Start to change the rhythm of your turns and really play with the terrain. Look ahead, anticipate what's coming and adjust your turns to suit. Just have fun with it.
Now that you've got the skills to ski happily around the mountain on all pistes, just keep practicing them. Remember, if you find something's not working, don't look for a complicated reason. Go back a step, get the basics right, and I'm sure you'll come back stronger. Something we haven't really looked at yet is the pole plant. It's going to be really useful on bumps, steeper slopes, powder, all over the mountain. It's going to give you skiing another dimension, and it's really going to help link those turns together. Let's take a look at two main things that are going to help you with the pole plant. Firstly, the arm position. It isn't any different to what you're doing when you're skiing without pole planting. Keeping those hands away from the body, out in front, The pole plant isn't any kind of reaching movement or any elaborate arm waving strange things. We want to keep those hands in front, and it is just that wrist action. Secondly, the timing. This is key. The pole's going to be coming through nice and slowly through the turn, and then you're going to release the end of the turn, place the pole, and then turn around it. Remember, it's always the downhill pole. You're always going to feel you're going to turn around it.
Get the timing right. My pole is coming forward, I release the edge, plant the pole, and start the turn.
So the pole's coming forward, nice and smooth, pole, turn. Forward, pole, forward, pole. My hands are staying nicely in front.
There's no hesitation between the pole plant and the start of the turn. I'm keeping my hands forward, I'm using the pole plant to help link the turns.
There's a lot of information out there about carving. These days you can buy carving skis, carving gloves, carving underpants. We're going to clear up some of these misconceptions and make it nice and easy for you to understand. A pure carved turn is a turn where the ski is gripping and biting and the shape of the ski is turning you. And this is the important bit, there is no skidding. The moment you've got skidding in your turn, it is no longer a carved turn. Skidding is important in your everyday skiing, but we're going to focus just on the carving. So while we're on the subject of carving, let's take a closer look at the ski. The ski's thinner in the middle than it is at the top and the bottom. So the ski's creating an hourglass shape. When I put that onto the edge, it's actually going to start to bend, and that is what's going to take me round. It's not a new idea. Skis have had side cut, which is what it's called, for over 100 years. If I put the ski onto the edge, you're going to notice that there's a gap here through the middle of the ski. If I then put pressure and push through it, you can see the ski bending and flexing, and it's that that's going to take you around the corner.
I'm on the edge and the shape of the ski is making me turn. In this turn, the skis are skidding, creating resistance, and it's not a carved turn.
Found myself a nice easy slope. All I'm going to do is start to slide across and roll those knees and ankles in towards the slope. It starts easy, and then I'm going to gently build it up. Feet hip width apart, hands nicely in front, and from here I can just gently roll the skis on. I'm not trying to turn, just feel the skis turning you.
It's all about trust. As I roll onto the edge, the ski will turn.
All I've done here is come slightly higher on the slope. My skis are going to be pointing more downhill, but I'm doing exactly the same thing. Start to slide down. Now just feel those edges biting, but don't try and do too much. Just let it happen smooth.
I'm spending more time pointing down the hill, picking up speed, but it's the same movement.
I'm coming either further up the hill, and we're going to complete a whole turn. The trick is to be patient at the start. Feel the ski engage, and what I mean by that is feel the edge and then just gradually build it up through the turn. So I'm starting to slide in, really smooth. Feel the skis come round and gently build the edge through the turn.
This is now a complete turn. I'm on one set of edges, then roll the skis flat, feel the new edges engage and start to turn. Remember, be patient. A great way to feel the ski engage is to use a gentle slope and just roll the knees and ankles from side to side. It's a very subtle movement, but an effective way to feel the ski working.
This is a great slope just to practice rolling those knees and edges into the slope. You'd probably just go straight down here, so use it for training.
As your feel for the ski improves, you can start to link the turns and pick up the speed. A patient start to the turn will stop the skis skidding. Roll the edges on gently and let the skis work.
All the things we've looked at there are going to help you in your general skiing. It's not just about carving. Try not to draw a massive line between carving and everything else. Feeling that nice strong edge, helping you come around the corner. It's a general skill that you're going to use all around the mountain. And as it gets steeper, you're going to have to replace a percentage of that carve with a skid, but make it a nice progressive controlled skid. And even if the ski is skidding, the ski is still bending and helping you go around the corner. That's carving. Bumps or moguls is something you're going to find a lot of when you're going off-piste. They can be quite intimidating at times, but with some of the techniques we're going to look at, you'll be amazed how much more confident you'll start to feel. When you're starting to ski bumps, try and find some nice ones like this. They're not too intimidating. The bumps behind me here are a little bit too big to start with. You might be able to get down them, but if you're trying to work on your technique, find some smaller ones that aren't going to intimidate you. A good way to practice the bumps is find a few small ones like this, and you can actually go across them. We're going to keep our hands in front, our shoulders over your feet, and relax. 2 goals. Keep your head the same level, so you're going to absorb the bumps, push down into the trough, absorb. And the other one is to keep your feet in contact with the snow all the way through. Nice and smooth. So the hands are in front, absorb, push down, really keep that head the same level.
Stay balanced over your feet. Let the bump push your feet up and then extend down into the trough.
We're going to look at 3 ways to handle these bumps. The first one is actually turning on top of the bump. A lot of people try and ski around them the whole time and avoid them, and it's not always the best thing to do. We're actually going to use that bump to help us. It's perfect here. I've got a lot of space around the bump. They're not too close, and turning on top is probably the best option. So nice and positive on top of that bump. Here's another one on top, on top.
Positive pole plant, turning on the bump, looking ahead and anticipating what's down the slope. Get the timing right and the bump will help you turn.
So another way to do it, for these sort of small bumps, you've got some space around them, you can turn around the outsides. If it looks like you've got an opening and space, it's not a bad option.
Start to use a combination of these 2 techniques in the smaller bumps. It will give you more options on where you can turn. Turn around the bumps or on top. Be versatile.
Once you're feeling happy on these smaller bumps, we're going to look at a third thing that's going to help you deal with steeper slopes and bigger bumps. The last thing we're going to look at is using the backside of the bump as a brake. So I'm actually going to turn into it, use that face to slow me down, and then gently turn around it. You'll probably find it happening more on steeper bumps, a little bit close together, and probably the slope's a bit steeper as well. Let's take a look. So there's a back, use the back of that slope.
I'm turning into the back side of the bump, then around. Plant the pole, feel the brake, and then turn around.
Think about where you're going to be on the first 2 or 3 bumps. Don't just set off with no idea or plan where you're going to be turning. So at least those first 3, you're going to be in a good position and get the rhythm, and then you're flowing down the run. The other thing to watch is your speed into the first turn. Don't go off there like a man possessed and spend the next 2 turns trying to get the control back. Start off nice and easy and build it up. I'm coming onto a face here. There's some nice bumps down here, but before I'm going to go, I'm going to plan my first 2 or 3 turns. After that, it's going to be much more ad lib, but get those first 2 or 3 sorted in your head before you actually set off. You're going to be in a rhythm, you're going to have much more time to handle the rest of the run. So I'm looking in front of me, the hands are in front. I'm going to do a turn around that one, over there, nice and smooth. Absorb those bumps. Keep those hands in front, looking ahead of you. Always be a step ahead. It's not about using any one of those techniques, it's about using all three. Pick out the right one at the right time and you'll find yourself having a lot more control coming down the bumps. It's really important to look ahead, and if you looked at a bump and you decided to make a turn on it, don't keep staring at it, push that gaze forward, you'll have much more time to react and you'll see things coming at you earlier. Keep those hands in front and really try and relax. You could actually turn something that's quite intimidating into something that's a lot of fun.